as per usual, for first for being on the land of the living. It's really interesting that every time we meet, we know that there are persons who would have been alive with us the last time we met, and they're no longer here. So we give Almighty God thanks for His mercies, His kindness, His compassion, His love. We cannot fathom it, we cannot understand it. Some of us, we know we don't deserve it, because we tell ourselves that some of the persons who have died, not only are they younger than we are, but they perhaps are more deserving of life than we are in terms of their behavior and contribution to society and so on. Not that we are that bad, but they're always persons who, if we're honest, we believe they merit this thing more than we do. In the same way that we perhaps merit certain things more than others, although we are all sinners and we all do wrong almost every day, if not every day, of some kind or other. So we give God thanks. We had a lovely weekend. We think that the weather was kind to us. We did not suffer any major damage, and we welcome the rains. So we have an open line today, and you're free to call in starting now. Talk to us about some of the developments that are taking place in your area, in the country. You know, on Frank and Candid, people learn about, especially during an open line, and when we have our guests, people learn about things, about developments, about happenings, about events, about occurrences that they would not otherwise be informed about. So this is, to some extent, a useful exercise. Perhaps the same can be said about many other similar programs, similar shows. But be that as it may, Frank and Candid is one wherein persons can learn and do learn about important developments, important happenings, things that affect them, things that affect us as individuals and as a collective society from time to time in different ways. So feel free to call us and talk to us about what you think should be addressed, matters that should be addressed, things that you think need attention, and so on.
But what I say, I'm glad for the unity government for initiating the Old Road Bay project. And I would like to say better soon to those persons who get injured from the rock fire. So I like the project. I would like the project to come out good. Glad not major come to, the project.
Well, let's take another caller. Hello. Good morning, caller.
Good morning, the great.
Okay, greatest.
No, man. You're shifting around the position.
Really?
Yeah, well, I want to say something. I want to agree with my partner there. Yeah, he always have a positive input to make. It doesn't matter how the situation be. He going to look very closely and then he going to come up with a positive input. Now, I want to say something. And some people believe when you talk about the best tour guide of our lives, they say, oh, you're here only and she only use that for convenience. But we have to use it. That's the good book. The good book say, boast not thyself of tomorrow. You ain't know what tomorrow going to bring. Couple months ago, Mistress Sylvine Henry, the great teacher, she make an input on a radio program, and a man who so negative and oppose Miss Henry, you know what he said? Oh, let Miss Henry go where she going. She right to blind. She right to get blind.
Oh no, somebody said that?
Yes, it's on tape. And today that individual is in Joseph in France, SICK. So if that individual didn't know that he would have get sick, I don't think he would have made that kind of comment. So showing people, don't boast and brag. No, you control your life. God. And God will let you run and go until He's ready to stop you and show you where He stopped you deal. But, like the caller say, it was a good thing that the government started Old Road Bay. Because from ever since Old Road Bay been laying on stone companies, sometimes a lizard or mongoose only run across, up on the top, and he lick out a small one and a small one, rock a big one. Come. Anyway, you have a good day so long, Mr. Blake.
Yeah, very well.
Okay.
I can't believe that somebody would say that kind of thing. I mean, the good thing somebody get blind, or good thing somebody broke his leg. What kind of thing is that? I mean, a man has... Anyone and everyone has a right to oppose what he wishes. Mrs. Henry, I, the Prime Minister, anyone can say anything and we have a right to oppose it. None of us is obliged to agree with anything anybody says. Alright? We ought to obey and abide by what the Almighty God says. But even He, a lot of us, for years, for eons, since time immemorial, have disobeyed and disregarded what the Almighty God has said. So, who are human beings for us to oppose what they say? No matter who he or she, no matter who they are, no matter who the individual is. But to tell someone, you're right to lose your leg, you're right to go blind, you're right to lose your eyesight. I mean, really, people are saying those things. No one is aware that today for me, tomorrow for you. I mean, come on. I think that's the height of absurdity. You have no right to condemn or to curse someone because of an illness, a physical illness, knowing very well you might suffer the same thing immediately and suffer worse. So who knows if this individual will leave the hospital alive or if he will leave the hospital sighted or in a much worse position than Mrs. Henry is. I mean, come on, cheese and well, what a lack of compassion, what a lack of intolerance, what a lack of tolerance, sorry. What a lack of kindness, so gross, so cruel. And then of course we forget that what goes around comes around. You can never do that. We should never do that. I want to appeal to those of us who are listening. Please let us understand that we have absolutely no control over what happens to us in terms of our health. No matter how well we eat, no matter how much we exercise, no matter the things we do, following all the advice of all the experts, we can very well succumb in a minute's notice. We can very well succumb overnight. We can very well succumb quickly to some of the worst experiences when it comes to health. I mean, come on. Does that need any discussion? Does that need any defense or explanation? Do we need to labor that point? So, in as much as we disagree and maybe even we disagree with others and we even hate that person, we ought to be careful when it comes to matters dealing with health because we have no control over what will hit us, when and how. Alright? I remember in high school we used to say, be careful because you go to sleep feeling healthy and strong and you wake up dead. So we have to be careful with how we carry on. And I think this is a recognized truism for years. So I don't think that was the correct attitude to take. Yes, it's an open line today on Frank and Candid, so you can call us and talk to us about anything you wish. Now, let's take this caller. Hello.
Good morning, Mr. Blake.
Good morning, sister.
I just got my little input.
Sure.
I went to the bank on Friday.
Mm-hmm.
It was a rainy morning, and I used my umbrella to go up the road in case any rain met me. And a lot of rain come meet me outside the bank waiting to collect my money. You have on a mask, but you still couldn't have got in the bank to shelter out of the rain. So I want to know why I get in that boat to get my money outside the rain, what I put there. Then I had nothing, and they opened the door for let us come in. And it maybe was about 5 hours outside. And we had our mask. And we couldn't have got inside, so we had to step outside, taking one in all the way. And when the bus them come across, they slowing down. They're coming across in the speed, wetting you up as well. So that ain't good.
No, that definitely. I mean, come on again.
All the best.
Thank you. Okay, we're talking common sense. We're talking human kindness. If rain is coming, I think there are exceptions. There must be exceptions for when rain falls. Lord of mercy, what is going on? Lord of mercy, please have mercy. Lord of mercy, please have mercy. Oh, what is going on here? You're going to have people outside in the rain, which is worse. They're being subject to getting soaked and drenched, and all the complications that are possible accompaniments. People have died from pneumonia, which started off with standing or walking in drizzle, and it developed into pneumonia, and the person died. So please let them in. Good morning, caller.
Mr. Blaze.
Yes, ma'am.
The lady is not telling any lies.
I don't think for one moment she's lying.
This is Dumpling speaking.
Of course.
I like Armenian. You ask the guy if you can come up a little more up Armenian, he said no.
Which bank is this, by the way?
Huh?
This is all banks or a particular bank?
National Bank.
Uh-huh. Yeah, okay. I'm going to raise that, believe it or not, with the CEO.
Even when some hot, I just say, my name, I know what it is, I don't have to turn off. But now they hear this storm coming and people going to set up themselves. Because then people going to come to get the money, especially them factory girls and people, them workmen were walking on the road and so.
In other countries.
I see a lady, a man with a lady in a chair, right? And the man drop off the lady to go get a parking spot. And if somebody had to hold the lady and care across by TDC,
yeah, we need to be
then
more.
the man who be in front of the door, after he sees the condition of the woman and he see the man drop off the lady, he could let the woman go up on the step and get chair that, you know.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know how we're going to solve these issues.
They carry the lady in there by TDC, and then the lady sit on the podium on top of the steps, then to walk to go up. And that is not noise because it's poor people money in there.
Yeah.
Because when the big man them come to just knock on the door, they let them pass in.
Yeah.
The poor people bank, you know, it starts from the penny, you know.
Yeah, they should remember that.
Start from the penny.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you very much. I think we have another caller. We're going to make a comment on that.
Good morning, Brother Blake.
Good morning, sir.
Brother Blake, I want to commend some young people I met after the COVID. They lose their job in various places where they was working. They tried to open up their own business, and they were speaking to me. They say they're doing well, and they tell me that now, Brother Blake. They don't think that they have no intention to go back to work for nobody, because they find a way, a life for them, and they're doing well. Going in the farming, doing their own little entrepreneur business, and you understand? One of them told me he get a boat and a motor, and he do fishing, and he's a politics to be truthful. As long as the water always keep good, and I will go out there and try to get some fish, because he said the only landscaping too. And that is what our young people got to do, Brother Blake. Our young people cannot wait there for something to come for them. They got to go out there and stretch themselves and find something. And do not let nobody else come in the country and try to shut them up and show them how to work. But back in the 70s, coming up as a little boy, we parents them take us to mountain. We partly know everything what to do. Nobody got to show us how to work. But you got to look at these young people still out there, depending on somebody to come give them a job.
Yeah.
Waiting on somebody to come call them, come give them a job. And they have not got children, they have nothing to do, they have house rent to pay. And this is a reality. Young people pull ourselves together. After this COVID, change a lot of people. And it's going to change more. And I would like to say our young men and women in the federation try to do it, because when one young man get a job or one young woman get a job, but you know what that means? That means a next mouth fed, a next child fed, a next this fed, a next that fed. And me and you safe. They wouldn't got to put themselves in a trouble, come rob me or rob you.
Right.
Because they find something positive to do. Okay then, Brother Blake.
Yeah, very good. That's a very positive and constructive suggestion and intervention there. The young persons becoming entrepreneurs as a result of having lost their jobs, and even perhaps they were not employed, they realize that it's a difficult time, they realize that it's dangerous, it's fickle to have to be dependent on others, so they get involved in creating their own employment. Well, they say, I have heard for a long time that our education system is one that tends to inculcate in the minds of the learners this idea of dependency. You must depend on others for your sustenance. You must depend on others for work. You must depend on others to survive. And so we're finding a move away from that thanks to COVID. One of the positive spin-offs from the pandemic. Good morning, caller.
Yes, Mr. Blake, I'm back.
Sure.
Now, Mr. Blake, just around the corner in the U.S. Virgin Islands of St. Thomas, they have many taxi associations down there, and every one of those associations, the customer servant is uniformed. So what I am saying here now, I think we should have the tourism department or whosoever responsible for public transportation, people who want to be operating public transportation, they should be properly attired. Not nobody in a short pants tight up and you got on catapult draggers and you heel them dirty up and then you cologne is like aloes and then you was up you smoking cigarette. You may not go in the vehicle with a cigarette, but when you go in there you smell like a boobiness. The appearance has to be well appreciated because see where the COVID put us? See where he put us? Eat little and live long. Everybody's supposed to try something that is positive, that could move us forward. So we have to look into that, the way people dress. I know a man was going home one night and he stopped and he picked me up by Rappoon Hill, if you know where St. Thomas be. And he had two other fellas standing up next to me. I don't know them. But the man said, "How you come?" And when the last one come in the car, the man tell him, "Go out in here, man. You go out. My car seat is not a toilet paper." Why he said that? He got his pants all the way down, the whole of his boxer short exposed. Man tell him, "No, you go out in here, man. My car seat in a toilet paper." So therefore, I am saying this, anybody driving in the public transport, they're supposed to be properly attired. Don't show no boxer short, no nothing. Make them come off the road. If you can't dress properly, come off the road. Let somebody else get in here, Mr. Blake.
Very well, thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay. Listen, there's so many suggestions that the members of the general public have. And so many of them are sensible. We wonder why is it that a lot of us in authority and positions of power, where we make decisions, we don't consider those sentiments. It's really interesting. For example, this morning there was a discussion about the ferry terminal, the bus and ferry terminal down at the Bayfront, opposite, close to the public market. It's about to open, and I understand that there's an experiment, a dry one as it were, for 2 weeks starting Wednesday coming, when it will be formally opened. And a number of suggestions and a number of new inputs were made, so that one will notice that there's going to be a difference in terms of how things operate when the dry one begins on Wednesday. And somebody was making the suggestion that when the so-called stakeholders met to decide on these conclusions, the new protocols that will be in effect, why weren't members of the traveling public, for whom this entire service is geared and exists, why weren't one or two of them? Because of course there are a number of them who travel daily, who are regular commuters on these buses. Why weren't one? And some of them are very intelligent. In fact, maybe all of them very intelligent, sensible, have some very profound suggestions to make. Why weren't two or three, or why wasn't one of them invited to be a part of this discussion in terms of making an input as to how this should be and what should obtain? Because these people have so many good ideas, you know, and they're very workable. Because most of the time the idea, if implemented, they can be done efficiently, but too often we leave them out. So I agree that bus drivers should be properly uniformed and should present a particular appearance so as to lend decency to the entire operation. Good morning, caller.
Yes, good morning, Mr. Blake. How are you?
I'm good, thanks.
Well, brother, you would have said enough this morning on the police talk, because I've raised that question so many times. And you see, when fellas like me, who didn't went to graduation school, I went to move up school. You are a young boy, you know, but move up school, you know. I went to move up school, not graduation. And I am glad that you went graduation school, that they would listen to you, right? And I was so glad that they would listen to you. But as a traveling public, I've stressed that point so many times. You cannot have those meetings without the traveling public. Okay. And the bus driver who say he had meeting, that can't hold water, you know. Because people would have more grievance than what he individual might have heard.
Definitely.
In other words, let's put it this way, second-hand news he brought, right?
Mm-hmm.
But if me as a traveling public go there, wouldn't be second-hand news.
Direct.
Talk to me, brother. You understand what I mean?
Definitely.
So I so agree with you, right? And by the way, me I one of the move up student, not graduated. You graduated, but me was in the move in the class.
Yeah, I've never heard that before. Tell you the truth, never heard that expression. Move up.
Pardon?
I've never heard that before about move up students.
But you ask culture then. You young boy. Me and culture went to move up class by not graduation. Anyway, take care.
I see. Thanks, man. All right, I learned something today. All right. I'm gonna have to engage somebody and find out how that worked. You know, what were the good points about it, and so on. The move up school. All right. So, yeah, taxi driver. I mean, we have so many complaints about. Well, we notice that a lot of taxi drivers now are uniformed. And that's, you know, that has been the state of affairs for some time. But the bus driver in particular, but we don't understand why is it that bus drivers have this particular culture. Why on earth do they have to carry on the way they carry on? Not only in terms of how they drive, and the way they drive, right, which is really obnoxious. And as a group, they break traffic laws, we believe, more often than any other group, except maybe police officers themselves. But why do they behave like that? You know, it's just amazing. It's just amazing. We maybe that calls for some kind of investigative study, some field research, because it does not limit itself to St. Kitts, but seems to be a Caribbean thing, maybe an even worldwide thing. Let's take this caller. Hello.
Yeah, Mr. Blake.
Yes, sir.
At the end of the school year, you will meet your colleagues who would have been in class with you. You move up. That is to take you from one class to the other.
Oh, but without a formal graduation ceremony?
Yeah, no, we are not born a graduation.
Okay.
The only graduation you might have had, if you could consider it a graduation, is when at the end of the year, the school would say who would be the best student and did whichever in whichever subject and so on. But you are not born a graduation.
Oh.
Anyhow, Carl, you need 1 point I want to make made a statement there.
Sure.
Like, as if, you know, you're going to school now and too much emphasis to me to be putting on how to write applications, you know.
Yeah.
Children should be taught, well, you should be putting it in their heads that they must learn to create a job.
Mm-hmm.
Do something that you look in the society and you see what the needs are. You understand? And you guide yourself towards, whether a service or a product. You understand?
Definitely.
Yeah, but I think too much emphasis, I always do say it, I don't know, you, to me, there's too much emphasis on you how to write an application. Having to write application. You got to be good in writing application. You make a little mistake in the format they give you, you're in the well.
Yeah, you're penalized. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you're penalized, correct. I think the children should be told that, think more of creating a job. Put yourself in a position to be independent, as you say.
Right.
Thanks a lot.
Sure, you're welcome. Appreciate that. Okay. Let's take another caller. Hello.
Brother Blake,
Yes, sir.
I experienced the move of school. It started from junior C. To junior B, you move up. I went to Trinity Hall School.
Right.
And by the time I'm ready to graduate, that my age is enough to come out of school, about 14 years. 15 years to come out of school. Go look work. But afterwards now they start to graduate people and they start to go to varsity high. So back in my time, when I was in school, they was moving up. I very moved about 1961, eh?
Mm.
Yeah. So Brother Blake, now I want to talk something about the bus drivers. I believe we got good bus drivers here.
Of course.
You understand?
Yeah.
I believe the bus service is one of the best in the Caribbean.
Mm.
But our bus drivers, them only got to come together. And if they come together as one and try to work as one, I believe they could move mountains. They need to organize themselves. You understand? Our bus drivers, them, and they will take in care of the passengers, them. Sometimes they go off the route to drop home passengers. I wouldn't bring all of them. We got good, careful bus drivers here. You got young bus drivers here kind of good too. You understand?
Yeah, I see some of my students are now doing that, yeah.
Yeah, as I said, Brother Blake, they only got to organize themselves, just themselves appropriate, because they know that they're carrying passengers, they're carrying people, get themselves more decent, put on a nice pants and nice pair shoes, and make themselves look professional. You understand? Anyway, Brother Blake, nice program as usual. God bless. Again.
Yeah. Okay. What we're gonna do? We're gonna take a small, quick station break, and we'll come back with the line still open.
Poinciana Restaurant on the Frigate Bay Road opens daily at 11 a.m. to serve you lunch and dinner. Whether you desire to dine in or take out, Poinciana Restaurant offers both to serve you better. Call Poinciana Restaurant at 465-5216 for your lunch or dinner takeout and reservations.
To avoid getting the coronavirus, remember to wash your hands thoroughly and frequently before and after preparing food, after using the toilet or changing a diaper for a baby, sick person, or the elderly, after blowing your nose, and after leaving large gatherings or moving away from persons who appear ill. Encourage others to wash their hands and also use an alcohol-based hand sanitizer of 60 to 70% solution. Stay away from events having large gatherings of people. You can expose yourself to more possible infections in large groups. Also, avoid sharing cutlery, cups, glassware, etc. with others. Viruses can linger on these items and may be transferred this way. Avoid shaking and holding hands, and hugging or keeping an infected person in close proximity. This is a message from the Ministry of Health and the National Emergency Management Agency, NEMA.
The summer is on, and now is the time to get an AC unit installed in your office or home. Look no further than Top Class AC and Refrigeration Services, St. Kitts' #1 outlet for air conditioning installation and refrigeration spare parts sales. And if you come today, you get a 10% discount on the purchase of portable AC units. Top Class also offers AC mold removal and remediation and auto AC repairs and servicing. Inquire today, 660-9889, 663-5314, or email topclassacworks@gmail.com. You can also visit the store at the corner of Keon Street and Shaw Avenue, Bastyr. Top Class AC and Refrigeration Services.
How it was in our days.
Hey, by the way, seriously speaking, did people move down as well? Students would move up, but some would move down?
Move down when you see you become a grandfather too long and you employ yourself in the cane field to go carry water. They move you down because you two don't seem to come last. So you move down. And you know who the move up was? Mr. Willie Doe, Mr. Charles Mills, and one Mr. Lewis.
Mm-hmm.
When you see them three men step in the schoolroom door, you know, well then, hey, grandfather and grandmother going to be made today, yeah? But I always aim to be in the first three. But when I look around in my class and I see certain fellows in there, I say, no, I got to go down to 5 and 6. Because they're brighter than me.
I see.
So I never aim to go away down there. Because when you go down there, that's the birth. That's the embryo of becoming a grandmother and a grandfather. Well, anyway, I'm going to tell you this and I'm going.
Yeah.
The only airport I see and had no control tower is in the classroom. The dunce us in the back seat, making all kind of jet plane. And when we launch them from behind the teacher up front ducking. And who ain't making plane? Fighting cock and hen.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, cock and hen and knock drum.
Wow.
Okay, have a good day. Somebody gonna come
Yeah,
back.
thank you. That's interesting, really. I'd like to hear some more of that. Welcome, caller.
Yeah, well, I go to the move-up school too.
Okay.
And when I went to the move, it wasn't fun going to a move-up school because, you know, you didn't know much about moving up and moving down, as the young man said. But I could remember that when you were moving from junior standard, we used to say junior standard, first, second, and third. So sometimes you, from junior, they're going to tell you you're going over by third standard, you're going to skip out. And you're going to just walk from one class to the other. But I could remember, as a young girl, going to Miguel Island School, living in Harpurchie, going to Miguel Island School. I could remember when we was moving up down there, we were used to sing, grow up higher, if you want to be a man. You got to learn all the lessons that you can. That's what we did. Well, I would like somebody to come and tell me if they ever live into a older house and tell me how it was, because I could tell them about living into an older house too. So let somebody bring in that first.
Okay.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yeah.
All right. Let's see if this caller has a response. Hello. 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 Okay, we've lost him or her. Let's hope he she tries again. It's I'm not even sure how interested the youth of today would like to know or learn about the days that these folks are talking about. Are they really interested in understanding the times from which we came and linking it to the developments, the progress we've made today? Let's hear what this caller has to say. Hello.
Good morning. Good morning.
Good morning, sir.
I like how they're doing the school system now.
You understand? You like or you don't like?
Back in my days, I born in 62.
Uh-huh.
And when you say to me, first stand up for 3-4 years, you can't move. You got to set some kind of exam to move. Now at the 12 when you send the high school, and you can't spell high school. Some of them. So what they do, when they go down, they can't read in a small school. Going at this school, they bring down people around them. And I can't like that. I know guys first stand up for 10 years. That's a shame that they left school. You know what I mean?
Yes.
I can't understand who grew up as a 12 year old in a high school and they can't spell high school. Nobody said about high school and they cannot read. I believe so.
Yeah.
What do you think?
Hey, I fully agree with you. I've been in the system myself for a long time, and I fully agree that.
How do do it now?
We call it automatic or social promotion, where once you get to a certain age, whether you can handle the next grade or not, you're sent forward.
Back in the 60s, you got to do some kind of subject to reach high school. And you have one first standard, you have first time for years, you can first time and
wow.
Okay, my friend.
Very well. I think that's a very valid point which needs further discussion, because this habit of sending a student up to high school because he's 12, but as the individual says, he cannot read nor write high school. It makes no sense. Let's take this caller. Hello.
Definitely. It make no sense. If you can't read and write, how you going to go high school? You got to go low down school. Mr. Blake, I never interested in learning to write no application until I become a big man. When I had to go work with some big, well-established businesses. And if I never learned to read, I couldn't fill out the application. Because there are so many trades that I could do with my hand. As a man who I could take on two of them there. So all I have to do is to learn to understand the meaning of words, and then you can fill out any application. Now to the lady about the old house and what they call them, trash house or modern house. I sleep in trash house. And my mother in the trash house, my mother had 2 apartments, the upstairs and the downstairs. And I live on the downstairs, which is under the bed, and a cook's bag. And she live in the upstairs, on top the settee. And now and then, when them are root upstairs and won't keep still, one of the lattice drop down and hit you in your head, say no more.
Okay then. Really, it sounds humorous, but I believe that these are in fact serious issues. Now, let's talk a little bit. Now, Dumpling at first spoke about the very unpleasant experience of having been made to stay in the rain. Although they were clad in their mask and so on. I know in other territories, people would immediately move their business, take their business elsewhere. Alright? Because the bank would have treated them in an inhuman manner. The bank would have treated the customers in a way that is not acceptable. And they would simply take their business elsewhere. We tend not to do that in some cases. So a lot of our service providers, they take advantage of that kind of attitude, behavior, habit, practice, culture that we have in some kids, where we just abide a lot of things, and we're not the kind of persons to hit the road and demonstrate and protest and demand that this happens and give ultimatum to whether it be governments or businesses or schools to take certain measures, effect certain changes. We don't do that. That does not define us here in St. Kitts. But definitely, I believe if the bank knew or felt for one moment that if not all, 90% of the customers who were obliged to stay in the way and would take their business elsewhere the next day, they would have rapidly opened the doors. But that doesn't happen here. And so we tend to be treated in a manner that is less than acceptable, less than becoming, because those who are in authority, quote unquote, they realize that we do a lot of talking, and very often that talking is not supported by any concrete action. Then, with respect to moving up a child from a primary school to high school simply because he's attained a certain age and not because he has achieved mastery of the subject matter, really, I believe the Ministry of Education needs to address that with immediacy, with expeditious immediacy, I like to say. Let's take this caller.
Hello.
Hello.
I born in a church house, right? And when my father make me quite a good Friday, in the man me gonna call cockroach it out because a cockroach like flower.
Yeah, I'm sorry, I didn't understand fully what
no call cockroach eat it off, right off.
Oh yeah?
Yeah, because them thing need to stick call it flower. And you know trash house, because there's a lot of cockroach, you know.
Oh, so the trash houses used to attract a lot of cockroaches?
Yeah, I born in a trash house.
Okay, and so the cockroaches would eat away the material that the couch was made of. I guess that's what he's saying. Okay, let's take this caller. Hello? Hello? Alright, we've lost him. Yeah, this is something that's bothered me for quite a while. I remember a parent bringing a child to me and asking me to help the child to improve his level of knowledge, understanding, education, because he was not doing well in school at all, and he was about to enter high school. Child was 11 and change, going on 12. And when I took the child, at 11 years, about 3 or 4 months before he turned 12, believe it or not, members of color. Hello?
Brother Blake. Hello?
Talk to me.
Yeah, Brother Blake, I don't know how important the bank manager and the tellers and the people who work in the bank with the customers, how important it be to them, you know. Is we providing work for them, you know. If we don't get them put the money in the bank, they wouldn't have a job, you know. So I believe that they're supposed to cater when these kind of things come around, especially when they go on hurricane time. They put a tent outside here, provide a tent for the customers. I mean, is he paying them? I don't see it. I don't know how people are, you know, just one people just like that. You understand? How we the ordinary person, we are the majority. If we got money, we count in the bank, especially when we come on national bank. A lot of poor people have their money from national bank. All right then.
Sure, thank you. All right. So, yeah, we made that point clear that the banks, and not just banks, all businesses they depend on us, for Christ's sake. When they speak of having made $1 million, $5 million, $10 million in a year net profit, who provided that income? Who provided that revenue? Who provided that profit? We, the general public. We, the spending public. We, the consumers. And so they really need to treat us better than that. But in this particular case, I had to tell the parent, where the child could not read nor write, I'm a boy, hey, I'm sorry, but I can perhaps heal the sick with respect to education, but I can't raise the dead. Because my position was that that child at almost 12 and can't read nor write, I'm a boy, I was not trained to handle those kinds of matters, to tell the truth. And there were teachers who were specially trained. There was a field of education that deals specifically with that. Because you wonder who's to blame. Is it the parent? Is it the school system? How could a child have moved from kindergarten to grade 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 and about to enter high school, grade 7, not being able to read nor write, I am a boy? And the child did proceed to go to high school. Alright, but he did leave school in third form. And to this day, he has gotten in trouble once or twice, but fortunately, as he has matured, he has been able to keep out of the hands of the law. And a mechanic was kind enough to make him an apprentice and teach him a couple of things. But that speaks, of course, I remember a chief education officer, and I'm going to tell you about this in a minute after we take this caller. Hello?
Listen to me. I went to school, the first day in school was when the Queen was coronated, 1953.
Mm-hmm.
So long that was, right?
Yes, sir.
And all through my school life was barefooted. And in my class, I couldn't count 6 children wearing shoes.
Right.
And Listen, Mr. Blake.
Yeah, I'm listening.
In my days, anybody who old like me would tell you, socks and shoes were luxury. Right? And me have some grandchildren going to school, and when I tell them going to school barefooted, but it's a joke to them.
Yeah.
Right? And I'm not lying.
Because students will not be allowed in school today barefooted. Huh? Students will not be allowed in school barefooted.
That's what I'm telling you. You can't go to school barefooted. So in the past, the children are so privileged that they have present tense to wear socks and shoes. And I'll tell you something. In my days in school too, was just a book, and you shove it in the back pocket, and you go on to school, right? And in those days, my mother was so poor that a student companion cost 75 cents, $0.75, and she couldn't afford to buy a student companion for me.
Yeah.
And then a child come to they tell you, you got to go buy wall to buy a book of $40, $50, and you got to find $40, $50.
But man, there are books that cost over $100.
I am smiling.
Yeah, easily. There are books that easily cost over $100. Lots of books that cost over $100.
Yeah, but that's the point. That's what I'm making you. So in those days,
I had to buy books for more than $100 for my children, more than once.
Okay, but in those days, Mr. Blake, it was terrible. But you see, we learn, and we had to learn, right? And the teacher of those days, you had to learn. But the point is, with these children today, they make life in such a luxury. And don't talk about have to do work after school, eh? Because the average child ain't nothing about, you know about picking hog meat, Mr. Lake?
Picking what?
Hog meat. To go look hog meat for your pig.
No.
But you really a young boy.
No, I guess, some people have had different experiences.
I know. But that was mandatory. When you come from school, you got to look hog meat. You got to look something for the problem to eat in the next morning. You understand me?
Okay.
The children today are privileged, man. But the point I want to make to you, I went to school from Lodge to Kayan with me barefoot, 10 commandments on the ground. And my grandchildren laughing after me up to now. And listen me, before I go, I am not ashamed to say that. I went to school barefooted. Okay, brother?
Very well.
All right.
Okay, thank you. I think we have another caller. Hello. Okay. Yeah, I want to get back to this point because I remember one of the best chief education officers I've worked with, very good individual, Dr. Patrick Welcome is his name, by the way. Let's take this caller. Hello.
Hello, good morning, Mr. Blake.
Good morning, sir.
The gentleman who just there, he's speaking about book. He could afford, his family could afford it, but a slate, we used to talk about, we did pour one slate. So
yeah,
when somebody have book, they're quite rich. Just theirs.
I see.
Okay, so.
Very well, yeah, I've heard of slates. I wish young people could see what a slate was like, and the kind of pencil that we used to write in slates, because I was privileged to see one. Right, I was saying Dr. Welcome at one point had to upgrade a teacher who complained that she didn't like teaching a particular student or a particular set of students because they can't read. And I remember Dr. Welcome having to tell the teacher, excuse me, but your duty is to teach the child to read. I mean, what is that? A teacher complaining that she finds it difficult to teach this child or these children because he or she can't read, or he, she, or they can't read. So, let him pass. Move him aside. He can't read, move him aside. But what is your job then as a teacher? Because no one ever told you that you've been hired to teach students who can read. And I think a teacher, by definition, by practice, ipso facto, is one who teaches children to read. And so the callers are right. We need to perhaps begin to revisit what we teach and how we teach it. No child should be moving from one grade to another, whether it be from kindergarten to grade 1, from grade 3 to grade 4, and certainly from grade 6 to high school, unable to read. I know the Ministry of Education has definitely implemented some measures designed to take students from a certain level, from where they're at to where they ought to be. And we've had some successes simply because some teachers have dedicated themselves to that. And kudos to them. But in a general sense, too many students have been allowed to pass through the cracks, and too many students are sent up to high school, unable to master reading. Let's take this caller. Hello?
Hey, Brother Blake.
Yes, sir.
You know Mistress Alma Prokop, deceased.
Yeah, I've heard of her, definitely.
Right. She did love teaching so much that she assigned herself to the pediatric department in the hospital, you know.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, every day she would go in there and she would teach the children them until she passed away. So when I hear say that this teacher says she don't like to teach certain kind of children, come on. I wonder if she know the meaning of the word teacher. Eh? You're supposed to help those who don't know as much as they should be. They should know graduate and they had prom when school go broke up. Look, we used to say school. That's why a lot of male man and male woman does go up and down with people male because of how people write. They can't understand what they write.
Yeah.
So by the time the male man or male woman understand what they mean, they all the way down Bokoto.
Yeah.
When the person just leave there by the post office.
Imagine that.
Imagine that. I mean, teachers have to be more loving and careful and concerned for others who are not brisk and brilliant enough like those people. Anyway, you write with slate? I write with slate.
No, I didn't write with slate, but I'm saying I've heard of them. I've seen them.
Okay, 2 pencil was for a penny and one for a halfpenny. And not even a slate where used to cost 6 pence down in Post Lot what my mother could afford. So I had to wait till somebody slate break and I get peace.
Do you happen to have any slate?
If I have any?
Yes.
No, not right now.
I'd like to get one so that I can show it to the audience and the younger folks. They can see what he was like. I think I'm going to see if Zach has any in his museum.
Yeah, I would have definitely like to get one of that. And I'm going to tell you something. I saw my man come from Anguilla to buy a pair of slippers. And he bought it in Port July, but for $1.25. When he going up on the sidewalk, he put up it on the bus. So when he gets ready to go on the short pair now to go back on the boat, a lady said, but mister, you're top bleeding. What happened? You stump it? He said, yeah. He said, thank God you're in my shoes. See, Blake.
Yeah, thank you for that bit of humor. Welcome, caller.
Mikey.
Yes, sir. Yes, ma'am.
Sorry to say, Mikey. Mr. Blake.
Mikey, that's my name, sister. No problem at all. Carry on.
The last time I see Blake is in by you. Miss Solomon.
Miss Solomon?
Yeah, the doctor,
okay.
Mother store.
You mean on sale?
Huh?
On sale?
Slate.
Right, were they on sale? Was she selling them?
Yeah, and he had the other coin where the children them loan to check with the coin now.
The abacus.
Red and yellow and thing.
Right, they call it an abacus. But no, wait. Dumpling, you're telling me that...
Last time I see them is India.
How long ago?
Sometime last year.
What? Selling slate to this day?
That was in the glass case.
That's interesting. I'm going to check it out.
Yeah.
Thank you. Hello?
Hello?
Yes, welcome to Frank and Candid.
Hi, Mr. Blake.
Yes, ma'am.
Good morning.
Good morning to you.
I'm here listening to you. You have not write on slate?
I did not write on slate, sister.
I thought we are the same age because I use slate. He had a lot of different kinds.
I could very well be older than you, but that doesn't mean that I have to write on slate as well. I'm just saying I did not. I might be 10 years older than you are, 20 years, but I did not write on slate. As I said earlier, we have had different experiences. People have had different experiences. But when I went to basketball school, the best school in the world, I started writing in it was a half of an exercise book. My mother would take an exercise book.
I did that.
And cut it in half.
I did that.
But I did not have the slate experience.
I went to Bassay Girls School. This month make me 60. I went to Bassay Girls School. Don't get me wrong, I'm just talking about myself.
Right.
You understand? I wrote on slate. We had all kind of slates. The little titty tots them. The slates that was ready made with some little blue, yellow, green, little round stuff where you could count and use them for counting and different things.
Yeah, but slate was not mandatory. Slate was something that parents would buy if they were not able to get an exercise book. As one fellow said, if you could buy a book, it means you were rich. Because most people use slate. So I'm saying again, different people have different experiences. So
yeah, I had my little bookstore, and as a few callers before myself, we used to put sometime cardboard with rubber band around our instep, and that's what we used to wear to school. Right. It's not a shame. It's in the time that we were in. Exactly. And I'm saying we more tech high, but I think that we put too much in education right now than to really teaching the children them. Because you got people go to school, they come out with 6, 7 O levels and this and that, and they still can't hold a proper conversation. You know, so there's a lot of things that we have to look into also.
Yeah, they can't hold a proper conversation, they can't hold a proper job either. But the government, the Ministry of Education, to its credit, has been emphasizing what we call TVET subjects, where all students are exposed to training and learning and knowledge in some skill or other, and not just the purely academic subject matter. So kudos to them, and we wish Dr. Courtney Thompson and his team best wishes in their efforts to include that kind of teaching and learning in the education process. Ladies and gentlemen, we've come to the end of Frank and Candid for today. Believe it or not, time has slipped by slowly. I think we're going to have another 1 or 2 or more open lines this week. Since last week and the week before, we've had quite a number of specialized guests, specialized topics, with a particular guest taking the lead. So this week we're going to have a number of open lines where, just like today, persons can call in and express themselves and talk about past experiences, talk about what's happening today, and look towards the future as well. Thank you very much for being a part of the exercise this morning. We look forward to continuing tomorrow. In the interim, do the right thing. Blessings.
Candid Radio, entertaining the nation, enjoyed by the world.
Come to Sun Pharmacy for all your prescription medication and healthcare supplies. 2 convenient locations: Keon Street next to the Chinese supermarket and in the food court at Port Zante. Sun Pharmacy, we care about your health. Telephone 466-1074 or 466-1077. Sun Pharmacy, your pharmacy. Sun Pharmacy accepts all bank cards and medical insurance plans from Nagico Insurance, Sagico Insurance, and National Caribbean Insurance.